Hello, hello. Let's wrap this year up. Ah, I somewhat can't believe that I actually made it here, made it through the year. Not because there was anything supremely, scary or any reason that would, uh, like anything that would give me reason to believe that I wouldn't make it through. But at the same time, every day is unsure. Like nothing is guaranteed. We can only make a reasonable assumption that tomorrow will come and then tomorrow and then tomorrow based on our previous experiences, but there is no guarantee at all. And that is something that I especially struggled with this year, to be honest, which is not something that is special in any way whatsoever. It is something that literally every single person that ever was, is, and ever will be has to come to terms with, or has to deal with. It's not that it's something that can be solved or anything. It's just is. It is just the reality of things. And this year, I've been especially stuck on how how fragile everything is. How our whole uh being is just contained in some of this very fragile vessel, so to speak. And then basically anything can happen, and then it's gone. And again, that is something that everyone has to deal with. So that is what gives me some strength, that I have to come to terms with it because everyone else has to come to terms with it. And yeah, that does help. But it is something that I haven't thought about before this year specifically. And yeah, it's like a whole before and after situation where I can't really unthink these uh these things. Obviously, I've even before that, as probably for everyone, I have been thinking about from time to time, life, death, and all that in between. But not in this way, or this with this severity. So even if I'm just looking on at that, even that made like the whole year. And probably if it's really something that I can't unthink or unsee, or put back into the box, then it's probably something that I'm gonna have to deal with from now on until the end of my days. And yeah, but that does not have to be necessarily a bad thing. I've read some poems, for example, or just in general other people's perspective, whether that be in poems or fiction, or just in any medium or any form. And there are thoughts and feelings that I get differently, just based on how I see things a bit differently. Like there are things that I'm like, I didn't think that I got it, and then now I read it, and now okay, now I get it. Now I get it. And I wonder how this works. If this is something that's like everyone gets there in some ways, but that's probably not the truth, because if everyone, like, not everyone even has the opportunity to have the, just have the privilege of time and experience, like, by itself. Even if we don't even think about the future, I'm already privileged to have lived this long, and I'm very slow to come to experiences that, at least from my perspective, seems to come a bit easier to others. But you can't really know what's in other people's minds, just as other people can't really tell and feel what's exactly in mine. So I'm, in some ways, I feel like I'm still a kid, trying to make sense of things. And then some days I think that I've progressed, that all these years and all these experiences, all this thinking, lots and lots of thinking, and not nearly enough doing. But even that is leading somewhere, building me up in some ways. And then something happens, and suddenly everything feels like it was nothing, and it was no 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 progress whatsoever. And yeah, that that was basically the year. And that does sound kind of bleak or kind of depressing, depending on how you look at it. But it does not mean that you know I have been depressed all year or anything. On the contrary, you know I have, I guess, recognized even more how much of, there is that saying that you are your own, biggest enemy. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because if you are your biggest enemy, then if you basically just deal with yourself, then life is a lot better. But at the same time, you know the best what hurts. You know the best how you can take yourself down, how you can uh undo the work that you've done yourself. And obviously this is something that I have already known, but realizing, once you're actually committed to feeling better, and just overall going, like, trying to go towards the positive side of things, that's when I especially can feel how instinctive, and how effortlessly the bad thoughts come. Because there's always something to fear. If not what is, then you can fear what could be. And it could be anything, because you can imagine anything. And just because those things are in the realm of possibility, that does not mean that they will actually happen. And part of that actually needed time, lots of time. There was a time where I very deeply thought that, the moment that I allow myself to be not even necessarily happy, but just content, that's when, disaster will strike, and that's when everything will go and fall apart. So in in the spirit of that, I just made my own life miserable, because if because obviously that does not make sense at all. Like, just because I make myself miserable, that doesn't mean that has any influence on what comes from the outside. Like, that doesn't mean that I have protected myself from outside negative influences. So there isn't really any good reason to make my own life miserable. And yet, and yet, I would like to talk talk a bit about watching VTubers, because that is something that have I would say improved my life for the better. Funny as that may sound. Obviously, it's not funny for me, because, like, obviously I'm in it, and I understand why I am here and why I am watching, and I guess connecting emotionally. Like, I don't want to get into like the too technical things, because I feel like there are many positive things about it, and many upsides that are not necessarily apparent, especially from the outside. And at the same time, I don't want to presume that I know everything, because in many ways I am new, and I'm bringing in maybe expectations or world views that are maybe not shared by necessarily by someone with like different ideas and expectations about the medium, or about how it's how much it should or shouldn't be like idol work, because obviously there are idols, and following Hollow Live for the most part, they are idols, and with that there's like a lot of extra work that is not necessarily part of it. Like, you don't have to be you don't have to be an idol to be a VTuber, not at all. But then again, uh, things like how much people should have their own identity, or how much they should just make up a character with the backstory and all that jazz, and how much should they stick to that. And that is the whole, if you come outside, then you like respect the, I guess, the culture, I suppose. I put that in like a little bit of question mark, not because I doubt that in any way that there is a culture. I'm just doubting it, because that is always, if you want to make changes, like obviously that goes for everything in general, that you shouldn't just expect, or not expect, accept things as they are. You should try to, not by telling everyone that this is how you should be doing something, but by, I guess, behaving yourself in the way that you think you should. Because the only thing that you can really police is okay, maybe police is a bad word, but you know how I mean. Police as in like policy. Uh, the only person that you really have any control over is yourself, which is obviously like that's how it is, and that's in many ways how it should be, right? Personal freedom and all that. So you can't really make other people behave in the way that you would like them to behave. Hmm. I wish I could put this in the words better, But this is definitely something that I wanted to say, is that I hope, and that is, you know, I'm not saying that that's like, wrong thing. Is like, that is in some ways, the slowing down of, numbers type of growth. Subscriptions and all that. And then, when they, like, obviously they will never like go in, like, an exponential rate up. Like, that is the point when it would, slow down. Or maybe if it's like, subscribe to someone, and then probably, so like, if you look across the whole thing and you see like X amount of subscribers here and there and there, there's probably like a significant overlap in those numbers. And then you could say that, okay, then I guess those who are interested are for the most part in it. But I think, and that is why, that is my personal feeling and my personal belief, that there are many people who, if they actually get to figure out, and obviously I'm saying it as like the personal thought, because it probably means a different thing to everyone, right? So like, what it means to me is not necessarily what it means to others. But at least the way it impacted me and influenced me, I would say that there are many, like an uncountable amount of people, if they actually get to the point where they open up, and where they, can have a, healthy connection in this way. Which is, again, obviously, what is a healthy connection. Or if some people argue that just having a connection in general is already not healthy, and I disagree with that. But obviously, that's like a huge topic that is a lot deeper than what I'm right now equipped to go into. But I think there are many people who could have their lives improved. Okay, yeah, I'm not putting it with the uh, amount of, emotion that it actually has, or it actually brings for me, or to me. But yeah, I definitely, okay, long story short, I just want the whole thing to become even more well known, widespread, popular. I don't know, because like, popular, obviously it has its own connotations with them if something is popular. But I just think there are a lot of people who just don't know it yet, and they would like it. They would like it a lot, and uh it would bring happiness into their lives, and it would bring reasons to strive for a better self, or just, step by step, slowly moving forward, when otherwise they might not have the motivation to move forward. Yeah, I feel like, as just, one person, there is already a lot more people that I would, like to give my, time, my attention. And and obviously, you can't really avoid the entire, monetary aspect, 'cause in the end, it goes, because, you know it's worth it. If it's not, worth it monetarily, then, eventually it doesn't work. Like, on like an individual basis, you can put in some time, like some funds, some resources, for a while, in as like an investment, I guess. And just, hoping for a better future, or hoping for an uptake in all the ugly numbers and whatnot that I think most people would like to avoid if it was possible, but it is not really. And my point with that is that eventually, it's just not feasible to do it anymore, and then they stop doing it. And I think that there is a lot more room to, I don't want to use the word grow, even though that's what I mean, but to connect with more people, to show more people how wonderful this could be, or this can be. I know it is, because I already know that it is, and I hope that I will have the privilege of uh, being being a part of it in some way for many years to come, wherever the future brings us. I try to be in the now as much as I can. Try to be present. Sometimes it almost feels like a superpower to be present in the, well, present. You know, because there are so many things that you think about. You know, things to be afraid of, things to, what's gonna be tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. But then sometimes, I open up my eyes and I look around, and I anchor myself in the here and now, and then suddenly, everything is an experience, even the uh very basic things, even those are wonderful in their own ways. So yeah, it's just a privilege of the privilege of being alive, which I do not take for granted. And I guess you could say that that might be the upside of this, perspective shift, or this, realization. Because it's different to know things, or different to feel things deep in your bones. I realized I did not properly finish my previous thought. That as one person, there's only, so many time, so many hours in a day, and there are a lot more people who, yeah, I think the world, it's I don't know if I'm like going too far with these kinds of things, but I do think that the world uh will will be can be a better place if more people can get into this circle. But I'm not saying that it's not hard, or there is, like, there's not growing pains, as they say. And you could say that this is in many ways, like, there's been a lot of issues already over the years, everywhere in VTubing, I suppose you could say that. Obviously, in everywhere there is those kinds of things, but I'm not saying that it's oh, just let everyone watch VTubers, and there's world peace. Like, obviously, it's not that simple. but I do think that there is a, very very positive and very positive and mut- okay, there is this mutually beneficial, you could say that, which does make it sound like a very much transactional relationship, but it's not nearly as calculated as that. It's just there are the realities of these things that you gotta make something out of it, monetarily speaking, for it to be feasible to keep going. And what I'm trying to say is that I think it's beneficial for us as viewers, and also obviously for the VTubers themselves, if this can go on, improve, I suppose. It's really hard to, talk about it as if they are, two different things, because they are, intertwined, and doesn't matter how selfless someone is, or how much they don't care about the money, for them to keep going, that, there has to be ways for it to sustain them somehow. And yeah, one of my regrets, you could say, before I, wrap it up, because obviously you try to live your life without regrets, but you will have regrets. I think. I think that's unavoidable. So obviously, I do have my regrets as well for the years, and that's the selfish part of this wish and fervent hope that more people can connect into this, is that I don't want this to go away, and for that, and there has to be an audience, and yeah, I did not, and I was not able to support financially the creators and the VTubers that I like, even love. And I'm not I'm not saying that is like you should feel bad if you can't. On the contrary. And I think that anyone, like any creator, if they make you feel like, intentionally make you feel bad for not being able to spend the money, then I think you should run. I think you should run from there, because obviously it's a bit, you could say it's a bit naive to say that, they don't have your best interests at heart, because obviously there's like, there's a different dynamic, right? Like, you are not uh the same in the way that your let's say, for example, your real life friends have a connection with you. It's obviously, there's like a different dynamic there, but I simply don't think that there is a real need to real need to be that way, and make people. Obviously it's something that I haven't had those experiences, but I do hear, from time to time, that someone, trying to guilt trip someone, or trying to, you know make them feel like, oh, you should be able to just, just give me give me that $1, give me that $5, Simo, give me that $10, because that's nothing. And you should be like, no, that's not how any of this works. And if there is someone who's like that way, then you should probably move on move on from there. But obviously, this is something that everybody knows, that everybody should know. And I've said all that to say that it's not something that anyone intentionally make me feel this way, but just based on realities that I mentioned, that I I guess I hope that someone like the other fans can support more financially, while I am not quite there yet, you know, in some ways. I don't know. It feels weird. Feels weird for me to talk about, money stuff, but I feel like it would also be a disservice if I don't mention it at all, and I just paint this whole picture of just a purely, emotional and entertaining relationship between, creator and audience, and then as if money doesn't matter, because it does. It does matter. But on a, emotional level, just being there is probably, means a lot. Obviously not the same at all, but even for me, when I end up like streaming, or even here, if there is, someone pops up, that does mean a lot. And yeah, I would imagine that it matters a lot to others too, even if they are obviously a lot bigger. Yeah. So I don't want to go into, New Year resolutions, because what I will do, I will do them. If I don't do them, then I didn't do them. And you know I used to think in some ways that I should, put it down, record it, something, and then I'm gonna have something that I can hold myself to, or there is something that would, make me do something that I don't necessarily want to do in the present. And in some ways that works, right? Like, for example, if I didn't say at the beginning that I'm gonna be uploading something every day, then I don't think I would have made it through the year this way. I don't think I would have. Obviously, there are days when it was really just a very very technical thing, especially like I said on the 24th. I basically just had 1 second of nothing, but it's still technically it works. But and it is something that I wouldn't have done if I did not say it out loud, or if I did not put the video out there saying that this is something that I'm gonna do. And I also had the idea, as you can see at the like the very beginning, which I did not do in the end, I suppose, is that that was, the Viroid model. And I had like a very very, placeholder at the beginning, and obviously the idea was that I start with the very very, the base one, like the default one, and then I go from there. And then instead I just arrived very quickly and wanted like a little, very very tiny bit of customization in Viroid, and then I used that, and then I just kind of used that for a while, and I didn't really go into face tracking or anything. I tried it like a little bit, with VC face, and but not with like, like a proper camera or anything, like this webcam that is not really uh like super high tech, or not really necessarily equipped all that well this kind of thing. But I ended up just having my head twisted all the time because the two monitors. I was looking a lot on the other one, and then my head just kept getting twisted. So after that very very short period of time of trying, I just stopped and I went back to just the regular mouth movement and then eye blinking, and that was it. And then I stopped doing anything with it because I guess it was just uh too I knew too little, and I did not go in and started to learn drawing because it's very much like I don't even know how to start or where to start, and I have a mouse, and the mouse is just not very intuitive at all. Like my hand drawing is obviously definitely not great, but it's a lot more intuitive than using a mouse. And yeah, for like editing layers for the face, so like it actually has like a better definition, or like better or being closer to the idea that I would have. And yeah, I ended up being kind of stuck the whole year as someone who is just using a pretty default Viroid model to put in the corner while I actually do the stuff that I would do otherwise anyway, like the gaming and whatnot. And I definitely did not go into that as much as I planned at the start of the year. And then the whole drive deletion incident happened with the Glyph launcher when I tried to reinstall Rift. That was rough. I try not to remind myself of what I have lost that day, like what pictures could have been on that drive and all that. And that was also something that I did. Like I did that whole reinstall thing when I was like I've been up for a long time and I was quite tired, and I probably would have done things differently, or maybe I could have reacted to something along the way, and I could have interrupted the process somehow or something. Worst case, I quickly unplug everything, and then we'll see what happens, which is probably not a good idea. But it was not something that I was mentally equipped to do, being as tired as I was, which is also one of the lessons that I've reinforced during this year, is that if you are tired, you know, if you're tired, because there is that thing that if you're tired, then like you are worse at evaluating risks, or you do something that you would probably not do if you were well rested, because it's not worth the risk. Or if you do something physical when you're tired, and then you could injure yourself easier because you're not quite there as much physically. So that's also a thing. So if I'm tired, I try to limit myself to things that are not risky. But then again, if I'm tired, then I might not even be able to evaluate what is risky in the first place. So yeah, that's been a thing. That's been a thing during the year, and I try to pay attention to that. Also, just getting more fresh air, going outside a bit more. There is this whole recycling initiative thing, right? That's been going on here for a while now. You get the pet bottles, and then you get a certain flat price tag off for the bottle, and then you go take back the bottle to the recycling point, and then you put them into the machine, and then you get the money back, and then you can go and get the money, either use it in in the store, just buy stuff with it and deduct it from the price, or just get back the money. But usually they don't really like if you just go in there and you just want back the money. So usually it's like at least buy something, and then you can like get back the rest, or that kind of thing. And the whole reason I'm mentioning this is that because it gives a good opportunity for me to have something to go for outside, because it's quite close. So if I go there and I come back, then I have my daily little bit of fresh air, a bit of a walk. Obviously, there are other things that if I have to go somewhere to do something, obviously I go and do them. But I'm mainly talking about days when I wouldn't go outside otherwise. And there is like those outside exercise, hmm, I guess machines you could say, but obviously they're like very very non. Uh, they are not obviously not complicated, quite simple. So it's out there, anyone can it's public, anyone can go and use them. But I obviously it's not in this code. It's the machines are very cold as well. So I don't know how feasible it is to just do them and not trees to them. But once the spring comes, then I will have to. Yeah, I will have to. Like like obviously, like, do I feel like doing it? Do I feel like doing something that I haven't been doing up until now? Not really. Not really, no. At the same time, if I know that if I actually start doing it and I actually keep doing it, I know that it's gonna be good for me, and it's gonna make me feel better. But just knowing that doesn't necessarily mean that you actually go outside and do it. So for now, I've been trying to do those walks uh here and there, and as the temperature will go up later, then it's gonna have to be more frequent than that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go outside and use those public exercise thingies. So yeah, one more thing that I wanted to talk about is that we have this whole celebration holiday. We have Christmas and New Year's and all that stuff. But winter is the 3 months, right? December, January, February. So it kind of feels like you have this December is like all front loaded. Everyone's preparing for the celebrations, preparing for the holidays, and there's this whole festive spirit in the air. And then you have January and February, and it's just like just cold and gray and bleak, and yeah, I again, it's gonna be it could it's gonna be a bit rough at times. I feel like to keep my spirits up, and I'm gonna like circle back a little bit to the previous topic of ruining my own mood, or my brain being very well equipped to ruin my own thoughts. Because again, like seasonal depression is not something that I have really thought about all that much, right? Because like if you are depressed by default, then you're like, okay, seasonal depression, not that big of a deal. But when you're actually trying to intentionally and consciously, being better, feeling better, that's when it really hits home how impactful it actually is. That there is a lot less sunlight. you are in the dark a lot more, and also that there was no snow this year, like this Christmas, this winter, and obviously that also takes away a lot of what I actually like about the season. Because I mean, for a long time, and I don't know if that has changed, but if you'd asked me which season is my favorite, then I would have said your winter. But uh, part of that was probably because maybe if it's winter, then less people bother me, or you know it- it's everyone. Then everyone is safely in their room, and everyone leaves everyone alone. But when that's not necessarily what you want anymore, then it can be a bit harder. And it reminds me of obviously a situation when COVID happened and everyone was basically locked into their houses, apartments, flats, and it took it made a lot of people miserable, right? Because they have their lives and they have the connections and people, and just being in company that uplifts them, that recharges their energy. And I was like, hey, now everyone else is also locked in, and then I was locked in by my own making. So I didn't go out because I didn't want to go out, and then suddenly everyone is locked in there, quote unquote, with me. But obviously, I did not take it as hard uh, as many other people, because I did not lose what they lost with that lockdown. Because I guess you could say that I have lost them already, but I did not have those connections in the first place. And then that was a situation where I was like, okay, does not hit me as hard as it hit many others, because there is no difference for me necessarily. But yeah, even then, like, I wasn't like, haha, haha, now you feel how I feel. But no, obviously not. Like, I felt bad for everyone. But yeah, and now this, the seasonal thing a bit as well. Like, I'm trying to not let the weather bring me down, or just outside being dark a lot more bring me down. And, I try to hang in there. I try to find uh the good things in life, I suppose. And I try to be present, and I try to be grateful for what I do have, the time that I've already had until now. Yeah. So there's no really, resolution for 2026. I'm gonna try to not let myself bring myself down. That's I guess, if you could call it a New Year's resolution, then that would be it. And just a little about this. I think I talked about it yesterday already. The daily uploads things that in the future I will see what this taught me, I suppose, or how I'm gonna move forward from this experience, so to say. No promises either way. In some ways, I know that it's gonna be hard to even let it go. You know, because that is the habit of it. Like when I feel like I have to do it, but I don't feel like it. But if from tomorrow, if I could say that I don't have to do it anymore, and letting that go will also be hard in its own way. Even if I'm the only one who really cares about it, who really cares about this commitment, because it did made me feel like I was doing something. Like previously, I think from like 2020, which is it was interesting because like I didn't start uh streaming a lot TFT. I think I was basically TFT all the time ever since it came out for quite a while. And I didn't start it because of COVID. Like I could have started earlier, could have started earlier, but I just ended up starting it that way. But I didn't do it smart at all. Not that I'm very smart now, but it's still a bit better because it was just I turned it on. I was there for hours upon hours, uh, into the like streaming into the void, and then it was gone. And then once the few day limit of the basic VOD retention, or like okay, for like how long the platform keeps the VODs, like once that's gone, it's gone, like it never happened. And that was obviously not a not a smart thing to do, because it was just a lot of time. And I guess I couldn't say effort because it's something that I would have already done. Like there's always the whole discussion of how much, like, it's not like streaming a game is not just you playing the game and having the stream on. Like it's a different thing. Especially obviously the audience, how you interact with the audience and how you keep up your gameplay quality. And like obviously there's a difference between playing off stream and playing on stream. Like your attention is split into more directions when you are streaming for an audience, and then you are interacting with chat and whatnot. But for the most part, it did not feel like fruitful at all. And it really felt like I was wasting my time. And like obviously you could say that I'm still wasting my time, but at the end of the day, it all depends on what you want to waste your time on. You know, we can go into the whole what do we leave after us when we are gone, and then even if we're gone, like what happens like 100, 200, 300 years? Who's gonna care about any of this? Yeah, sure, but at the at the end of the day, it was even by just a very basic metrics, it was still a waste of time compared to something that is at least there to you know look back in a year or two or 5 or 10, and we don't know how long this YouTube thing is gonna take. Like, will it last forever? Probably not. I think that's a quite a safe thing to say, that it's not gonna last forever. Now I don't know how it's gonna be like 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, because I there is like definitely a feeling that I have towards like that YouTube is just at this point there's just so many videos on it, and it's just such a you know milestone for just whatever people put up there, for better or worse, that there is something that's like and I don't know I want this to sound like, oh yeah, let we have to protect YouTube at all costs. Like that's not quite what I'm saying, but there is definitely like a sentimental angle of, should we as like collective humanity, like should we lose all that? Should we try to keep them in some ways? And I know it's not new to YouTube. Like there's all preservation efforts and initiatives for many other things, many other mediums. Obviously, it's been a thing for books as well. Like it's been a thing probably as long as humans been around in some ways. So again, nothing new, but it specifically just the sheer amount of what is up on YouTube. I think that is this kind of important. Just as like a we were here, we did this kind of thing, and in that regard, you could say, oh, maybe I should be a bit mindful of what I'm putting out there. Like maybe I shouldn't fill up this collective space with I don't know how many gigabytes of me running around like a headless chicken in PoE or Torchlight or TFT or that kind of stuff, or me sitting here and rambling. But although I think these rambling videos are quite low on storage, so I think that's fine. I just have a background and I just have this PNG popping up and down, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, at least with this, they are there. Like even if even if it's necessarily just for me, maybe like I can go back and look at it. Although I probably won't go back and look at it because you know how we are when we are observing our past selves. Yeah, which is I guess a good thing, right? Because like we are constantly moving forward, and then we feel like there are our previous selves are people who have known less than us. I guess experienced less than us. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to look back and like, oh, what did I say? What did I think? What did I do? Like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, there should be some sort of acceptance towards our past selves. But that will not necessarily show it in a way that I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at my own rambling videos. I'm probably not gonna do that. Heck, it's probably gonna be hard to even look back on this one, especially because this is again an hour. And again, I did not talk about many things, but then at the same time, I already talked about an hour. And I don't entirely even know what I talked about. And I'm definitely gonna like turn this off, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, I didn't say that and didn't say this. So yeah, I think at the end, I'm just gonna say that I'm grateful. I know we don't have Thanksgiving quite the same way, but that doesn't mean that I'm not grateful every day. Grateful for my family, grateful for my mom, especially. Thank you, mom. And grateful for friends, even though I didn't reconnect with them all that much. From time to time we meet, but I guess I these days I'm spending most of my time in, I guess, mainly as a ruffian, as a pebble, but also as all the other fans. I don't know if this is the right way to look at it, but I feel like when I am in someone's stream, then I am their fan. Like I'm there for them. So like I'm all the other things at the same time. Like I'm still, again, let's say, mainly a ruffian and mainly a pebble, but I'm all the other things as well. Like when I'm in CC stream, then I'm an Otomo. When I'm in G stream, then I'm Graham. Or everywhere. Like without you know necessarily going through everyone, but that's basically how I feel. Like when I'm there, then I'm one of the one of the fans, or one of the specific. You know how I mean. You know what I mean. I give the example. I'm grateful for that, and obviously not just for Hololive. Obviously, I've been looking around and following as much as I can. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, obviously, Doobie and Dimi and Saba, but and then okay, obviously I don't wanna necessarily go through everyone because then I'm definitely missing someone and I'm gonna be like that. Theo as well, but even before I got into watching Colo Live, even before that I was you know watching some here and there, and I enjoyed it. I just wasn't in it as much as I am now. But at the same time, you could say that there are definitely people who are even more in it. Although I don't know how it's possible because again, I don't. I just there is not enough time. That is the frustration. That there's just not enough time. Like I would love to be everywhere and catch everything and be there for everyone. You know, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. And it's probably better for everyone if I try to have my own life as well, and then I build that up. And being there every time is useful and important and it matters. But at the same time, it would also be nice, just contribute in other ways to it. Not to say that there's like oh you're not doing enough because that's not how it works, right? The way I see it, the way I think about it is that if you just hold hold them in your heart and in your thoughts, even if you can't be there for this reason or that reason, if you just like life is life is a lot. You just don't have time. You can just only catch a stream here and there, or catch some clips, catch some pods or that. Or even if you feel like that you have to step away because you can't pace yourself and you can't you're very all or nothing. I think that as long as keep them keep them with you in some way, then I think that's already a huge thing. But then again, like I said, obviously there has to be this whole ecosystem that you have to make it work in some ways to for it to stay up and or grow or even just be present in time in the future or towards the future. So that is that whole aspect of it. But as like individually, that is how I see it. That is how I feel about it. And there's no this, oh, you have to be like the roller coaster. Yeah, you have to be this tall to ride this. No, like you it's not. It's like no purely that, oh, you have to be here X amount of time and you have to do this or you have to do that. There's like no like checklist to be there or to be part of it or part of a community or be a fan of someone. I don't believe in those things. Just being there is its own merit, and we shouldn't like look for trying to put other people down just because, oh, they were not here when I was here, or they did not experience this moment personally when I experienced it. Like we should cherish and treasure those moments, but we shouldn't use them as a metric to uh put it up to other people and say like, oh, you are not this tall. Yeah, I don't like that. We just try to do the best we can. At least I try, but I will try because it comes up when it's time to be a little inspirational, and then when someone says like when it's Mokoko pop talk, and like you're doing your best, and I'm like, am I really? In many cases, I was said, and I thought that, oh, no, I guess I'm not doing my best. This is not my best. And those are like the real regrets that you want to avoid. It cannot be life cannot be without regrets, but you don't want to have those kinds of regrets that you always You always wonder if if I did my best, would it have been enough? It's hard. It's hard to, you know, hard to measure. It's like sometimes you feel like you're not doing your best, but you did what you could, even if you're not living up to your own expectations towards yourselves. Yeah, it's rough sometimes, but yeah, I'm I'm grateful to everyone who has made my life better in any way, even if I, you know, did, did mention someone by name or anything, or maybe I did not even recognize that you know, it was something that impacted me positively. Because sometimes you scroll to a short, for example, you see something, you see someone, and for a tiny bit, and then there's like this imperceptible rise in your mood, pep in your step, as they say, without necessarily even realizing that what was the reason, what was the cause. So yeah, grateful for too many people, for many people, and thought best to I'll say it because like if I miss someone, yeah, or like the people who graduated, they're within alive or in other places, because it's even if you didn't know them, even if you didn't know them personally, I mean not personally, like even if you were like not there for everything, yeah, you just simply didn't know them as well. It's still, sad, especially if it's not something that is like a very much uh willing departure. Obviously there are degrees, but it's always sad when this is what they really want to do, and then just circumstances just make it, it's not feasible anymore. I think that's a very sad thing. But obviously I wish them the best. Also, obviously obviously there are people like they don't really know, or like, maybe they are not they're not the okay, so it's like there's always this, should I really give a blanket statement that I just wish the best for everyone, literally everyone? But I think reasonable mind would understand it as a, you know general thing, not just like I, I wish, because that's a step more, and you're like, I wish the best to everyone, even to those who would not necessarily deserve it, because then you go into deserve it by whose metric, like who is really the arbiter of what someone deserves or does not deserve. And that's quite complicated. So I think I would just say it and take it as on, like, basically face value, and say that wishing the best in, whatever future endeavors. Graduated people have, or go, or whichever way they go. Obviously Kanata is the is the most recent in my mind, especially like basically the the Soul Live Shiny Smiley story upload was today. So obviously that is the most recent, and she's so good at being an idol, and even as someone who just didn't watch Kanata that much, like from just from what I've seen, and obviously from uh, from what the Hamins. So like what the fans said, and like just in general, like obviously from what I've seen and heard, right? Like she's so good at it, and it kind of it's kind of messed up, right? That you know when someone's so good, and don't get me wrong, I don't need I think that wherever she goes, whatever she's gonna do from here on out, she's gonna be she's gonna be amazing at it. But she's so good at she's so good at it. She's so good at being an idol. It just it just messed up that yeah. You know, I uh you know what I mean. But not this, not just her, but in general. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm this is long enough already. I'm not I can't get too deep into that. And obviously obviously I will mention them especially, you know. And I don't there is no like hierarchy. Like I there is, the question of, Oshi, Kamiyoshi, who's your bestest, who's your favorite, most favorite, who's on, the peak, and can't really, decide between Bibu and Fuamoko because, you know, they're all my Kamiyoshis in their own way. So yeah, Diamond Dogs, you know. So yeah. Ah, a bit emotional. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you for thank you Mokoko. Thank you Bibu for this wonderful year, and I hope that next year will be will be a great year for you and for everyone. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's here at this point, but if you're already in 2026, then happy new year, and if you are not there yet, then also happy new year because it's gonna be here soon. So yeah, we're gonna jump into the relay. There's a New Year's karaoke relay. Follow Ian starts at this moment. It starts like 35. I don't know when this was gonna be uploaded, but it's there, and then it's gonna be a long relay, and I'm gonna try to be there and just be uh listening there and partying there for as much as I can. Yeah. So again, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful 2026. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to close it down properly. But yeah, Diamond Dogs for life. Rock rock and bow bow. Goodbye. See you next year. Okay, I'm out for real. Bye bye. Thanks for Coco. Thanks Bibu. Bye.